hit a tree. Oh, jab me, daddy. What? Oh no, I got killed by somebody with a Clantac penis.
What did you just say?
Yeah, Resident Evil 8. When that came out, all we would hear from Cap Lightning is, and I quote, "Oh yeah, step on me, mommy."
Yup. Down with the sickness. Oh wow! Enemy.
Oh my! Listen, I know you really want to have sex right now, but I've got Kenny Loggins' Danger Zone stuck in my head, and I just cannot perform right now. I am so sorry. Of course, update requires a restart as I'm trying to make great content. Cool. All right, I'll just go myself. Welcome back to the basement. It's a day that ends in Y, which means it's a great day to talk sports, video games, and wrestling. Though today we're mostly going to talk about sports because, man, we got a huge weekend in the PNW for sports, and I'm really excited to get to it. Oh, all right, welcome to the state-of-the-art, top of the line.
We spared no expense.
Mom's Basement Studio for a little thing that I like to call I Read the Script. My name is Shiloh Johnson, and I understand that it's a privilege to be on your screen this beautiful day, whether you're watching the VOD or live on YouTube, Twitch, or Facebook, listening to the podcast in your car on Apple or Spotify, or if you're sitting on the toilet watching clips on TikTok. Thank you so much for allowing me to be there with you. It's great. I mean it. That actually, it gets me thinking, what do you like to consume your content on? Because I was thinking about it this morning. I listen to a lot of podcasts, and like, it's almost entirely Portland Trailblazers podcasts. Let me back up a little bit. I like to listen to Mike Richmond on Locked On Blazers. Shout out to me. I'm an everydayer. And I do that while cleaning in the morning. So I wake up, get the kid ready for school. I start cleaning. I'll clean the kitchen, put in my headphones, and I'll listen to Locked On Blazers. It's like an everyday, it's a routine. I hope I get there with you guys. And then when I'm dropping off my kid or picking him up from school, that's usually when I'll listen to the latest Jack Ramsey's with Danny Meringue. No. And then, if there isn't a new one, then I'll listen to the Rose Garden Report with Sean Hyken, or the Briefcase with Casey, or the Blazer Balcony with Casey and Brooke Olsendan. I'll knock out Blazer Focus with Aaron Fentress and Craig Birnbach, which, by the way, I love Craig. I don't think he gets enough credit here. I absolutely adore listening to Craig Birnbach. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's his voice, or if I feel his love and pain for the Knicks in my soul, because that's how I feel for the Blazers. So I love listening to Craig. I hope one day I can have him on here. But I'm a sicko for all things Blazers, if you couldn't tell by my substantial list of podcasts that I listen to. So, and if you're listening to this or watching this, I'm going to assume that you are too. So I really appreciate you adding I Read the Script to your rotation and telling your friends about it. I'm definitely going to talk Pacific Northwest sports, but bet your sweet peach that this is a Blazers podcast and everything else is just secondary. Man, where do you even start with this weekend, right? I guess we'll start with the Blazers. We're going to start with the Blazers because tonight the preseason starts up in Seattle at Climate Pledge Arena. We got a game 7:30 p.m. against the LA Clippers. I am so excited. I cannot wait to watch this on TV. Except JK, We can't. Apparently, it is on TV in Los Angeles. So if you want to watch the Blazer game, apparently you can, but you have to watch the LA broadcast. So I will try and do that. Obviously, I'm disappointed. I wish that it was like the NFL and you could easily consume all the preseason games with no problem whatsoever. I'm really hopeful that we get there with Portland. We'll see. We'll see. With the Blazers, the Rip City Network and all that, I think we'll get there, but obviously that's just starting out, so we're not there quite yet, but we'll get there. Let's see. Yeah, it's 2024. I wish we could. We will be able to. I feel good about that. But tonight, I may have to sail the 7 seas because I couldn't get up to Seattle for it. Apparently, it's sold out. A preseason game in Seattle, Washington is sold out, which is awesome. I'm really stoked for the people that get to go. Disappointed for me that can't. But there's just so much going on in the Pacific Northwest this weekend that, like, I'll back up. I didn't try and get tickets. I heard it was sold out, so I just didn't even put the effort towards it. But, like, I've got a 9-year-old son. His last baseball practice is tonight. His last baseball game is Sunday. We've got his hockey practice Saturday morning, another hockey game on Sunday. We've got in Ohio State and Oregon Saturday. We've got Blazers' first preseason game tonight at 7:30, like I said before. Even if I could get my hands on tickets to tonight's game, there's no chance I could have made it. So I really wish it would be easy to watch it on TV. But we are where we are. I don't think we'll be here forever. It'll get easier. It'll get better. Don't worry, Rip City. It'll get easy. Let's show a little grace and patience while the Blazers get this set up, because I am sure it is not easy for everybody in Rip City land working on the back end of this to get this up and running. So the game. If you're watching, you probably know Shaden Sharp, posterior left shoulder labral tear during practice this week, which looks like it's going to sideline him for 4 to 6 weeks. Unfortunate. I heard Danny say it's the same shoulder that he injured last time. I want to say it was during Summer League. I, surprisingly, not a fan of injuries that occur in the same spot as previous injuries. The dude is, I want to say 21. I'm not going to say injury prone. I'm not going to say that this scares me. I will say if it happens again, you can officially put me in scared camp. Obviously, as a Blazer fan, we have a history of injuries that is, it's not great. It's not great. But I'm not in that camp quite yet. Man, but I am bummed. 4 to 6 weeks. They're looking mid-ish November for his return. I want to say the projection was like November 17th, which, that's not a ton of games. It's as a Blazer fan, you wanted to see what this year? You wanted to see Scoot Henderson. You wanted to see Shaden Sharp. You want to see what we got from the youngsters, right? The fact that we're not getting that, man, that stings. Even if it is for, we'll call it the first month of the regular season. It's disheartening that in a season where we know they're not going to be great, right? We know that the playoffs is a long shot. And not just a long shot. I think it's safe to say that most Blazer fans don't want the playoffs. At least the play in. If they surprise the world and end up, fourth in the West, okay, fine. Nobody's going to complain about that. But if we're talking play in, I don't think a lot of fans want that. I think a lot of fans want to capture the flag. I think, Ace Bailey sure would look nice in a Blazer uniform. I mean, that Rutgers uniform's cool and all, but, red and black with Rip City on the front, I would take that. I would take Ace Bailey. I'd take Cooper flag. And I think that's what we're really going for this season. So, in a season where the expectation and hope is to be last in the league, it would have been great to get 70 games of both Scoot and Shaden on the floor. And the fact that we're starting off the season like that, man, that's tough. And on top of that, you got Time Lord Robert Williams III. He's out at least a couple weeks with a hamstring injury. Thankfully, it's not a knee. I was gonna say the nice thing about that, but there's no nice. There's no good when it comes to injury. But maybe we see Donovan Clingan a bit more in the preseason with Time Lord out. So it'll be nice to see him get more run than he might once the regular season starts, because you have to assume that once the season starts, Coach Billups is going to play his best players. And right now at center, where we have 4 centers, you've got Ayton. He's going to play his 32 minutes a night. You've got Time Lord that's going to probably play the rest. And then you've got Donovan Clingan, the 7th overall pick from this last draft. And then you've got Wap Reef, who I'm a little bummed for. When Portland signed him to that contract, I was really excited. I kind of expected him to be the 3rd center. I love his story, as I think every Blazer fan does. I love his 3-point shooting. The fact that this goes to the story, right? That first game with the Rip City remix, it goes, oh, okay, yeah, no, he's too good to play with the remix. We need to get him on the Blazers. And all the games that he played with the Blazers and his 3-point shooting, I thought was awesome. I thought one of the best stories outside of 2 that we got all season. And now he's going to be buried probably 4th in the depth chart for centers this year. I don't know how that's going to work. I don't know how our center rotation is going to work, because we've got 4 centers that I'm not going to say can't play anything else, but really haven't played anything else. I think Clingan is definitely, he's center. He's center all the way. Mike Richmond likes to say fast brain, slow feet. That works for center. At a 4, not necessarily the greatest option. I wouldn't mind seeing Time Lord play some 4. I think it'd be really interesting to see, like, Blazers are definitely in round and find out mode this year, right? Like, let's just see what we got. We're not chasing wins necessarily. Let's see what we got with the roster that we've got and see what we can do. And can you keep Donovan Clingan and Ayton on the same team? Can you run? I don't necessarily want to be that guy that pounds the drum and says, hey, play Ayton at the 4. He said it was his natural position growing up, but can he play in the NBA? I don't know. And I think playing next to a guy like Kling Kong, I think you need somebody with a little bit more pop outside the arc at 4. If you're going to try and stretch the floor at all, you need somebody that can hit those threes. And, they said Clingan can do it. We didn't see it during Summer League. Are we going to see it during preseason? I don't know. Do I want to see it during preseason? If it happens, great. but I'd love to see him just become a dominant beast in the middle, do what he do. I was just gonna say, I was gonna say, I just want to see him do what he does well, and then build from there. But then there's that absolute homer in me that goes, "Oh yeah, let's drain those fucking threes, baby. Just send them. Just send them. If we are in F around and find out mode, just send them. Let's see if we can develop that. Is that going to stop him from rebounding? Hey, maybe on the offensive side a little bit, but is that going to stop him from being a dominant monster down low? No. Will that make teams respect him a little bit more and if we can do a pick and pop with them? Oh yeah, absolutely. I don't know if teams are actually going to play defense on him. You know, if he sets a screen, say, for Scoot or Ant. I mean, can you even do that with Scoot right now? I don't think so. But Ant, sure. You've got him setting a screen for Ant. He kind of rolls out for a three, or even just camps out up there. I don't know. I don't know how you do that when you haven't shown in the league that you can do it. But then how do you show in the league that you can do it if you haven't done it? So I feel like they're just kind of they're in a mode right now where they need to throw all the spaghetti up on the wall and just see what sticks. If you're looking to draft Cooper Flagg, is there a real reason not to just try everything? Are we going to see players not develop by going crazy, kind of out of the box thinking? I don't know. I'm not a smart enough basketball person to answer that question. I'll be honest. You want to talk X's and O's? I'm not that guy. I hope to be. I want to be. You know what I want? I want to co-host a show with somebody that really knows their shit, like Danny Meringue. And I want to learn X's and O's from Danny. You know, I'll get there, even if I have to watch a lot of YouTube videos. But for now, I am crazy diehard Blazer fan that just wants to talk to other Blazer fans. So we've got Shaden Sharp out. We've got Time Lord out. Matisse Thybulle is likely out with a knee. And then we've got Denny Advia out for personal reasons, which is Yom Kippur, which starts at sundown. And with everything that happened in Israel this year, he thought it was best to show solidarity with his brothers and sisters in Israel and not play basketball, which, if Sandy Koufax can do it in the World Series, I don't see why Denny Advia cannot do it in the preseason of an NBA game. And then for the Clippers, you got Mo Bamba out with a knee issue. Former Blazer Stormin' Norman Powell is day-to-day with an undisclosed, I was going to say injury, but it's undisclosed reason. Kawhi Leonard likely not going to play in the preseason. The team's not sure if he's going to be ready to go during the regular season. We got Bones Highland out. James Harden's expected to play. Harden balled out the other day. Had 14 points, 2 rebounds. Oh, sorry. 14 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists across 17 minutes in Tuesday's win over the Nets. It's going to be an interesting test for the Blazers. I'm really looking forward to seeing what the starting lineup's going to be. Because the Clippers, we're probably looking at Harden, man, Jones Jr., maybe Batum at power forward. And then maybe Zubac or Kai Jones at center. I think it's reasonable to assume that with Sharp out, we're gonna see Scoot start at the 1. We're gonna see Ant at 2. Are we going to see Tawani Kamara start at small forward? Probably. We'll probably get Grant at the 4, Aiden at the 5. But it should be a pretty easy rotation for coach tonight, because you basically, in terms of healthy point guards, you've got we're gonna call Ant a shooting guard for this game. But he's got Scoot, he's got Devontae Graham, and he's got Delano Banton. Easy enough, right? And then for shooting guard, you've got Ant. Banton's kind of, I guess, maybe back up there. They maybe go Chris Murray or Ryan. And then for the 3, you've got 2. I mean, Banton's tall enough to play that spot, so maybe you do that. Maybe you get more minutes for Chris Murray there at the 3. Maybe you play him more 3 instead of 2 and see how his 3-pointers developed in the offseason. And then center's pretty cut and dry. You've got Aiden, you've got Klingon, you've got Reith. Maybe you throw Walker in there. I don't know. I love preseason of every sport. Like, I know a lot of people don't care, but I am all about growth and development. I love seeing teams develop. I think, and the games themselves through the season are great. They're fantastic. But I really, really like watching the preseason. You know, you've got guys that are fighting for spots. You see a lot of passion. You see a lot of hustle. You know, when you've got guys like Chris Murray and Jabari Walker, they're fighting for minutes throughout the season. You know, right now they're probably not in the rotation, right? I don't see a rotation, barring a bunch of injuries, which, you know, we kind of have for this game. But I don't see Murray. I don't see Walker. I don't see Reith really cracking the lineup all that much. And so getting to see these guys in the preseason. Also, shout out Rip City Remix. I think we're going to see a lot of these guys in the remix this year. Assuming everybody else stays healthy, I think we get a healthy dose of Murray on the remix. It'd be interesting to see Walker. I mean, you can't just gut the whole main roster and send people down to the remix for playing time, but I bet we see Rupert there most of the season. I bet we see Chris Murray there a good chunk of the season. And again, this is assuming everybody stays healthy. Knock on wood. Well, let me get the wood, not my mouse pad. I don't know. I love the preseason. I love watching these guys play for their jobs. And this might be one of the few times we really get to see them until after the trade deadline play a lot. I think the Blazers are short enough on talent that they're not really gonna have to tank. And I say that with a heavy heart. That is not something I want to talk about. I don't want to think about that. But when you look at how the league, you know, shaped out last season, you know, Washington's probably not going to be all that great. Brooklyn's definitely not going to be good. And the Blazers are basically running it back again. I don't see Portland making huge strides moving forward this season. Obviously, when Shaedon Sharpe comes back, you know, maybe he's a completely different player, and everything that, you know, I've heard so far would suggest that he's done a great job in the offseason, and he looks really good so far. Are we going to see a big difference in Shaedon Sharpe? I hope, and I have faith, assuming that the shoulder injury doesn't become a big problem. My big worry right now is Scoot. I haven't heard good things through the offseason, and I am not a reporter. I am not seeing things firsthand. I am an aggregator. I take what I see from other people say, I process it, I give you my take on it. That's my job here. And what I've heard has not been overly positive, and that concerns me a little bit because Scoot was supposed to be this generational talent, and we didn't really see that last year. I felt really good the last 25 games watching Scoot play. I felt really, really, really good watching him. I thought the future looked bright. I thought throughout the whole season, he looked like a great passer. His decisions, not always awesome, but when he made the decision to make the right pass, boy, his range of he's got a bag of passes, and it is a lot of fun to watch him just sling that ball around the floor. And once you get some shooters around him, oh boy, I think we're going to see an entirely different Scoot Henderson once he has higher level players around him. And I'm not trying to, knock the guys that he was playing with towards the end of the season, but he didn't play with Shaden Sharp. He didn't play with Ant. He didn't play with Jeremy Grant. He was playing with Walker, who, while seems to be a great rebounder, not much of a shooter. He was playing with Chris Murray, great on defense, not much of a shooter. He played with Banton, not much of a shooter. He didn't have shooters around him to accentuate what he does well, which is, I think, is going to be an otherworldly playmaker. And we still don't really have the shooters around him. If he got to play with if Scoot got to play with Ant, that'd be great. If Denny is the shooter from last year that we saw, boy, I think about that. Think about this. Okay, you ready? Go on a small journey with me, will you? Humor me. You've got Klingon out on the floor with Scoot, Denny, Jeremy Grant. We'll say Ant, because so far Ant's, he's a proven 3-point shooter. You've got Klingon out there setting just monster screens, right? If he develops any sort of outside shot to the point where he makes the big step out of the key, if Scoot finishes, I think going into the offseason, my biggest ask of Scoot, I was saying I want Scoot and Phil Beckner to spend the whole summer together and just learn how to shoot threes. Just become an egregious 3-point shooter, knock him down. It worked for Dame, it worked for Ant. Scoot, it can work for you. Just go shoot the ball with Phil for a summer. And obviously that didn't happen because he wants to work out with whoever he wants to work out with, and I respect that. I am hoping in my heart of hearts that he becomes even a slightly below, maybe even league average 3-point shooter. That would be incredible. Make the defense respect you on 3-pointers. So that way it's not, Scoot's got the ball at 3-point range. Let's all just go down here because we don't have to play defense on him up there. But like I said before, what I do is listen to people that are smarter than me and then process that and regurgitate it in a way that makes sense to me. I think Mike Richmond had it dead center correct. If he becomes a high level finisher at the rim, which I feel like is what we were told he was going to be, he was supposed to be this otherworldly athletic point guard that can get to the rim, highlight dunks and layups and like that. His bread and butter was going to be playmaking and finishing at the rim. Well, he was not a finisher at the rim. He was one of the worst at finishing at the rim. If he can clean that up, you get him out on the floor with Donovan, right? Donovan sets a screen, likely flattens whichever poor guard gets screened by Klingon is probably peeling himself up off the floor. And then you got Scoot, who basically gets an RPO at that point, right? He's the quarterback. He's got a run pass option. If he can finish at the rim, if he can take it to the rim and finish it, great. If not, well, what was Denny last year? Something like a 50% 3-point shooter from the corners. I think that's what I heard. I don't know if I can pull it up. I've got ESPN pulled up, and I don't know if they've got the stats kind of from that advanced. Yeah, I don't see it here, but I want to say that he was a 50% from the corners and 38% from three total. But if you can get a Scoot that can finish at the rim, driving it off a Klingon screen and either getting 2 points himself or sending it over to a 50% Denny in the corner, oh my science, that would be absolutely that would be great. So I foresee starting lineup tonight. I bet we get Scoot, Ant. We'll get 2 at the 3. Assuming Grant's playing 4, 8, and 5. I think we'll see Donovan be the primary backup for 8, and I think we'll get Jabari probably as the backup for. I say we get Jabari Walker, the backup for Jeremy Grant. I think Chris Murray's probably your backup 3 tonight. And then we'll get probably a spattering of Rupert at 2, maybe some 3. Maybe you kind of flip flop. Maybe you get Banton and Rupert both playing kind of backup point guard, shooting guard minutes, and then you got WAP kind of floating. But since it's preseason, you don't know how much the starters are going to play. I doubt we see, your normal NBA game 30 minutes. So who starts? Who comes off the bench? Who really cares? It's not going to make a lick of difference tonight, nor is it going to make that much of a difference moving forward. I think we're going to get who we're going to get in the different situations, and really, starter in the NBA. I think that's mostly just a feather in the cap. What really matters? Who ends the games? Who does the coach trust when there's 5 minutes left and you're up or down 2 points? Who's out there at that point? Something that I thought was really, really funny, and I've absolutely loved this about the Blazers, is backpacks. It's backpack season. And if you head over to Twitter /X/ whatever you want to call it, and you can find me at Shiloh Jocelyn, I posted a picture of I posted a picture of their backpacks, and it's great. It's great. Head over there. It's at Shiloh Jocelyn, SHILOJOSLIN. And you can see Donovan Klingon's adorable pink shimmering kitty backpack and Taze Moore's Grogu bag. It's funny. Taze seemed all about it. He seemed cool with it. He said he's a Star Wars fan. It's the one he would have picked anyway. I think they just kind of randomly handed them out And Donovan's seen in this video, kind of walking away with a big smile on his face. He says, "You got to wear it with some heart. You got to wear it with some heart." Wow. I love it. I love it. I just love it. I can probably let me share it with you guys. It'll take me just a second to get it on here. Let's see, where are we? I was going to say, I wish in OBS there was a way to do like a preview screen before switching over, but I haven't been able to figure that out yet. I won't waste any more time. Just go to my X at Shiloh Jocelyn, find the pictures. It's great. You can go to the Blazers page. They have a little video on there of it, but I got the pictures of them wearing the backpacks, and it's stellar. It's great. I'm gonna go to my X. Go to my X. I don't know what I don't like that everybody says formerly Twitter. I just kind of want to call it Twitter and move on with my life. But at the same time, I want to respect the fact that that's not what it's called anymore. I don't know anymore. I really don't know what to do with my life when it comes to social media at this point. Either way, whatever you want to call it, X, Twitter, it's at Shiloh Jocelyn. There's pictures of sparkly pink kitty backpacks and sparkly white and pink Grogu backpack worn with heart by Donovan Clingan and Taze Moore of your Portland Trailblazers, who again playing tonight in Seattle, Washington, USA. You know, it's too bad Kevin Calabro is not going to be on that call. He spent so much time with the Supersonics. I'd like to hear him say, "Live in Seattle, Washington, USA." I'm a little bummed we don't get to see that. Kind of speaking of Seattle, the Blazers were in town last night. They flew in, I want to say it was yesterday afternoon. They went to the Seahawks game last night. And Blazers X, formerly known as Twitter, had a picture of the team on the sidelines and a bunch of videos. It looks like they had a lot of fun. They said they're visiting their friends from up north. And it kind of got me thinking a little bit, because I personally, I'm not rivalry guy. I don't really get into it. Totally respect if you do. If you got a team that you hate solely based off of geography, more power to you. That's awesome. I think the last rivalry I really got into, I really hated Russell Westbrook. I really hated Pat Beverly. I really hated the OKC Thunder during that playoff run when Dame sent him home. By the way, shout out to the wallpaper on my computer. It is still that. It is Forever Dame. Maybe not Forever Dame, because I am I don't know if you saw this last year, but I made an image from the team photos from Media Day, and I took Zac Efron's meme, right? And I was looking at the pictures of Shaden Sharp and Anthony Simons. No, wait, it was Shaden Sharp and Scoot Henderson. And they're both like this, right? They're both like this. And I thought, that looks a lot like Zac Efron's meme thing. And so I made a wallpaper of the three of them doing that with the rest of the players in the background. And I made that wallpaper. I posted it to the Rip City Reddit page and shared it on the social media pages that I have. I'm going to update that. I'm going to add Denny. Going to add Kling Kong. Do I have to remove anybody? I might add Delano. We'll see if they pick up the rest of his contract, but I may add Delano in there. I don't know if he was there before. Anyway, so that was my wallpaper for a long time. And I think once I remake that same one, that's going to go back up. So we'll replace Dame for a little bit with Zac Efron and friends, as I'll call it. But yeah, getting back to Seattle. I wonder if once Seattle gets another NBA team, say the Seattle Supersonics come rolling back into the Emerald City, are the Blazers going to be welcomed there? Because I know that was a pretty intense rivalry. There's a lot of Portland versus Seattle, and I might get some hate. I love Seattle. I adore that city. I think it's awesome. Every time I go there, I have a blast. I love it. I don't think I'd want to live there because that's just too far away from the Blazers. But, you know, it's a great place. But I don't know if the Portland Trailblazers would be welcome if the Supersonics were back there. I think right now they're the only show in town in the Pacific Northwest in terms of NBA team. So they're kind of forced down the throat of Seattle and Idaho and, you know, Vancouver, BC. We'll call that Pacific Northwest, even though it's not in America. But you know what I'm saying. Once the Supersonics are back, because all signs are pointing to Seattle getting another team, and it's going to be the Supersonics again. And then all the Seattle fans that have been cheering reluctantly for the Blazers are probably going to hate the Blazers again. Assuming the Blazers don't go back up there for another year or two, is that the last we're going to see of the Blazers on a Seattle Seahawks sideline? That'd be kind of sad. I've enjoyed the camaraderie between the two cities with our Portland Trailblazers kind of being the ambassador to the two states, bringing everybody together. But if they're going to be hated again, I don't know what's going to happen. Also, completely unrelated, but congrats to former Blazer Moses Brown for signing an Exhibit 10 deal with the New York Knicks. Congratulations, Mr. Brown. I hope you stick with the Knicks or somebody else. I don't know. I don't think anybody can have his G League rights because he's too much of a vet. So I guess if he sticks with the Knicks, he'd probably end up on a two-way contract, and who knows if he stays with the big club or not. But congrats. It's always nice to see a former Blazer sticking into the league. I'm really looking forward to seeing what he does. He seemed like a great guy. I got to meet him once after a Rip City Remix game. It just seemed really nice. All right. We're going to take just a quick break. We're going to come back. We're going to talk Oregon Ducks football, Ohio State Buckeyes tomorrow. College game days there. Pat McAfee's there. The whole world of college football is going to be watching your Oregon Ducks tomorrow. And I've got a couple thoughts on that, and I'd like to share those with you here in a couple minutes. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back. back. One day, I'm gonna find a way to keep the music playing in the background without like cutting it off. As it stands now, when I switch from something like the Be Right Back or starting, if I want to start the song, it starts over again, which nobody wants that. I'm gonna figure out a way to make a smooth transition from there. I'm just starting, so I appreciate your grace and patience as I learn how to do all this stuff. I swear to you, it'll get better. My video game live streams, when I would do those, were an absolute mess when I first started, and they got better and better, and I dare I say they got good there towards the end. Same thing's gonna happen here. I'm telling you, I will get better with rundowns. I will get smarter. I will become a better journalist. I will be funnier, more entertaining. You're in on the ground floor, and there are some growing pains here. And I appreciate you sticking with me through those, because I get it. It's not always pretty. I'm trying. I am trying for you because I want to entertain you. I want to make you laugh. I want you to be informed with the hard-hitting journalism that is Pacific Northwest sports, news, and drama, and other stuff that is also really important. All right. We talked about Blazers. Before I move on, though, I got one more Blazer thing to share, and it is incredibly important. Probably the most important thing that I could have talked about, but I haven't yet. Shout out to Yusuf Nurkic. For having potentially the greatest quote in the history of the Portland Trailblazers. Rip City on they ass. I love it. I'm wearing the shirt since we got day one of the preseason. I'm going to wear it again day one of the regular season. You're going to see me walking around Moda Center with this bad boy on. If I can find a way to somehow get credentialed and be taken seriously as a journalist at some point, you're going to see me at the Moda Center a lot. Maybe not wearing this jersey, but you'll remember when you saw me as a civilian in the Moda Center wearing it, and you'll have those fond memories. Gosh, I remember when Shiloh used to walk around the Moda Center in the Rip City on the ass t-shirt. Those are some great times. And boy, do I love his podcast and telling all my friends and family about it and following him on social media. I'm going to stop there. I'm not here to pander or pimp out my socials yet. There's a time and place for that, and that's not right now. Right now is the time to talk about the Oregon Ducks, because holy moly, I wish I had a duck sound. I will. Again, getting better. We're going to get better at this. I swear to you, it's going to happen. All right. Number 2, Ohio State visiting number 3, Oregon Ducks, Autzen Stadium tomorrow. I think 4:30 p.m. local time. Man, like as we speak, Pat McAfee's doing his show live at Autzen Stadium right there on the grass. College game days in Eugene, and the state is absolutely electric with anticipation for the 2 versus 3 matchup. I have been a Duck my entire life. But I will say, shout out to Oregon State Beavers, who I really liked when I was attending Beaverton High School. And I loved the fact that we completely stole their logo and colors. But if you were to cut me open, you'd see red and black for the Blazers with a little bit of yellow and green for the Ducks, because that is just, that's me. I love the Ducks. I love the Ducks. I like the Beavers. I want the Beavers to win every single game that they play. That's not against the Oregon Ducks. Having said all that, I'm not feeling ultra confident that they're going to win. I am not ultra confident that they're going to be competitive. Man, I'm terrified. I'm terrified. I am terrified because the Ducks against Idaho, Boise State, Oregon State didn't look great. And though I feel like they've gotten, we'll say, better and better the last three games, they put up 31 points against Michigan State. They put up 34 points against UCLA. They put up almost 50 against Oregon State. But I feel like that Boise State game really left a sour taste in my mouth. They won 37-34, and the Boise State running back may very well win the Heisman. So though my intelligent side says, hey, Boise State's not bad, there's the fan part in me that goes, bad. Boise State's supposed to be bad. How do we let them score 34 points? The sky is falling. Everything's over. We are doomed. Which, it's a fair thought, right? And maybe I'm completely overreacting because if you look at the scores, okay, Idaho 24-14. They allowed Idaho to score 14 points. Is that the worst? No. Is that the best? No. Boise State, we just went over 37-34. Not great, right? Oregon State 49-14. You look at that score and you think, great, they did great. UCLA 34-13. Michigan State, which was going to be like their first real Big Ten test, even though UCLA is technically a Big Ten team, 31-10. So why am I such a pessimist for this game? Why am I utterly terrified? Well, it might be because Ohio State put 52 up on the board against Akron, or 56 against Western Michigan, or 49 against Marshall, or 38 against the same Michigan State Spartans, or 35 against Iowa, while just allowing 6, 0, 14. Marshall somehow scored 2 touchdowns against the Ohio State Buckeyes. Michigan State and Iowa both just put up 7 points against the Ohio State Buckeyes. Is there a big difference between the two? No. The only big difference is that Boise State game, which I would argue, and I don't think you would get any pushback from anybody that watches college football or knows anything about college football. Boise State is better than Western Michigan by probably a lot. Boise State is better than Marshall, probably by a lot. Boise State is better than Akron, probably by a lot. And yet here I am panicking, thinking that Ohio State is absolutely going to roll the Ducks. I don't know. I don't know. Am I a pessimist? On the internet? Yeah, mostly because I think it's funny. But in actuality, I'm forever an optimist. But I'm also a realist. And Oregon, to me, when you look at the stats, right? We can compare the stats with the two teams. Okay. Dylan Gabriel has thrown for 1,449 yards. Will Howard has thrown for approximately 200 less yards. Okay. Advantage Ducks. But has Dylan Gabriel passed the eye test to you? Because he really hasn't to me. And again, not an X's and O's guy. I don't know a ton about football. But when I watch Will Howard, I think, wow, he looks pretty good. But then I watch Dylan Gabriel and I think, holy moly, we just barely scraped by there, huh? Is that fair? I don't know. but that's just what my eyes tell me. And for a little background, I also watch every Ohio State Buckeye game. I've got family from Columbus, and all I hear about are stories about how every Saturday they would sneak into the horseshoe. You know, they're in their 50s and 60s, and they had 9 siblings. And they grew up in the shadow of the horseshoe, which is the Ohio State Buckeyes football stadium. And every time there'd be a home game, they would sneak into the stadium and watch because they couldn't afford to go. This whole side of the family are Buckeyes through and through. They have songs about it. They have records and CDs of just all these crazy songs. And like, I know all about the coaches of the past and Woody Hayes and the rivalry between the team up north, which we are not allowed to say, and Ohio State Buckeyes. I heard the story of the Buckeye bus running out of gas, and so they pushed it across state lines because they didn't want to give the state up north a single penny. Or the time where Ohio State was up big and went for 2 against Michigan. And when asked after the game, well, gosh, why'd you go for 2? The coach's response, because they won't let you go for 3. I am well versed in the history of Ohio State Buckeyes. We watch every single game. In fact, right next to me is an Ohio State blanket, which is usually on our couch. So when I tell you, I know Ohio State a little bit. And when I talk about the eye test, I think there's a little validity to it. And right now, the eye test tells me that Ohio State is going to run over the Ducks. I just see, I don't know, the picture of Elmer Fudd holding a shotgun going after Daffy Duck. But Daffy Duck is not smart enough to outsmart him this time. That is what I see, and I don't like it. Especially with Chip Kelly running the offense of Ohio State. Oh, man. If the Buckeyes win, that's going to sting. And I'm not saying that the Ducks don't have a chance, because they went into the horseshoe and they beat Ohio State. And you know what was great? That family that lives in Oregon, big Buckeye fans, flew to Columbus for that game. And my father-in-law was wearing his Ducks gear. He is a brave man. Shout out to you. But he went to Columbus and repped his Ducks gear while the Ducks were in Columbus and they won. He said he was just about run out of Columbus. He had to go hop on a plane to come back immediately after because his whole family just wanted to kill him. That's how seriously they take Ohio State football. And this man has the cojones to rep the Ducks while growing up a Buckeye in Buckeye land, Columbus, Ohio. Salute to you, David. You are a man among men. Thank you for your service as a Ducks fan. And I want to say, when was it, like 2012, when the Ducks played the Buckeyes for the national championship? His whole house was decked out in Buckeye stuff, right? It was all Buckeye, Buckeye, Buckeye. We even made Buckeye cookies and brought them for him. Buckeye cookies are essentially, they're almost round Reese's peanut butter cups. They're peanut butter balls dipped in dark chocolate, They are incredible. They're amazing. In fact, we're probably going to make some tonight for the game tomorrow. Not to cheer on the Buckeyes because I won't. There's going to be 0% of me cheering for the Buckeyes. But they're just so damn good. They're just so damn good. And if the game goes how I feel like it's going to go, I'm going to need those bad boys to drown my sorrow. But seeing Chip Kelly back in Autzen Stadium as the OC for the Buckeyes, it's going to be tough if they win. If Oregon pulls it out, which is, it's so weird because I want to say I fully believe that they can. Somehow I do. I'm sitting here talking doom and gloom and that their quarterback doesn't pass the eye test for me. I still think they could win. I don't know what is that fandom? Is that insanity? What is it delusion? But I do think the Ducks can win. There's a part of me that hopes like we haven't seen the Ducks, right? We've seen a fraction of the Ducks. We didn't see any of the Ducks week 1, right? We just essentially saw the players playing pickup football. Who knows? Did they even call a play that whole game? I don't know. It was an 11-on-11 scrimmage where they just don't care because they just assumed, okay, Idaho, we got this. It's fine. And I feel like they underestimated Boise State. And I think they got it together just enough to pull that one out, which, boy, that was terrifying. And it goes, okay, well, Oregon State, you know the rest. We already went through it. We don't have to go through all the scores. But my hope is, if there is hope for the Ducks, we have not seen the Ducks yet. And if they're going to win tomorrow, we got to see them tomorrow. Because we cannot have Boise State Oregon Ducks show up for Ohio State. If they do that, oh boy, is it going to get ugly. All right, that's enough of that game. After Ohio State, the Ducks are going to go on the road to Purdue, then come back home for Illinois, and then go to the big house in Michigan, Ann Arbor, Michigan. I can say the word Michigan now because it's not in the same sentence as, well, I guess I can't say the other school's name now because it would be in the same sentence, but the team down south that the Ducks happen to play tomorrow. Then the Ducks go, no, actually they're home to Maryland and then go to Wisconsin, home to Washington. Which, for the first 5 weeks, I thought Washington was going to be a gimme. I really did. I thought they were going to have trouble with Michigan. I thought Purdue, easy. I say easy, relatively easy. As easy as these opponents, you know, in Big Ten can be, which is tough. It's crazy. There's no Colorado. There's no Cal. There's no nowadays Stanford. God, did I hate Stanford back 10 years ago. Oh, the bane of my existence was Stanford. The Ducks just couldn't beat them. It was like the Seahawks and the Rams. For whatever reason, it seemed like the Seahawks could not beat the Rams. The Oregon Ducks could not beat Stanford. Boy, is it nice that Stanford kind of sucks now. But now Ducks aren't playing them anymore, so who cares? But there's no gimmies. There's no more gimmies for the Ducks, right? It's all from here on out. I mean, Idaho and Boise State were supposed to be the gimmies. And I don't know. Do you throw Purdue in there? Maybe Maryland, maybe, but they're still probably, those quote unquote gimme games are still tougher than what the Ducks had to go through on some of the tougher games in their Pac-12 matchups. That's crazy to me. But I saw Washington as a slam dunk until they beat Michigan last week. Now I don't know. Because Washington's 4-2. They're not ranked, which I don't know if ESPN's wrong or what, but they're showing Washington as not being ranked. But they're 4-2. They're 2-1 in conference with that giant win over Michigan. We'll see. I mean, there's still a lot of time between now and November 30th to see what Washington really is. But if they're the team that just beat Michigan, look out. And I know that I said we're going to be done talking about Oregon and Ohio State. And for tomorrow's matchup, we are. But think about how crazy joining the Big Ten is. You could play Ohio State 3 times in a year. You could play Michigan 3 times in a year. You got a regular season matchup, which I believe they'll play each other every other year. And then the Big Ten removed like the conferences. So you know how, like with the Pac-12, you're watching a Pacific Northwest show. The Pac-12 had North and South. And then you'd have top team in the North play the top team in the South. Well, Big Ten had that same thing, but they just removed that. So now the top 2 teams in the conference will play each other for the conference championship at the end of the year. Let's just say Oregon beats Ohio State. And then both teams win out. Well, unless Indiana goes undefeated and unless Penn State goes undefeated, you would have Oregon versus Ohio State again for the Big Ten championship. And then you have a 12-team playoff, which presumably, if they're both playing for the Big Ten championship, they would both be in. Depending on seeding, they could play each other again for a national championship or somewhere within that playoff. It's crazy how the changes in college football, they've really changed the landscape of the sport moving forward. So I'm looking forward to seeing what happens there. I think tomorrow is going to be stressful as all get out, but it's going to be a lot of fun. I hope you enjoy watching it with your friends and family if you're into that sort of thing. Okay. We're going to talk just a little bit of Seattle Seahawks because we got to get out of here soon. After starting 3-0, the Seattle Seahawks are 3-3. After losing 3 straight to Detroit, which I get, the Giants, which should have never happened, and last night's loss to the San Francisco 49ers, which again, I get. The 49ers don't have a great record, but they're still the 49ers. And I think Kirk Herbstreit, he made a great point last night. So he and Al Michaels were sitting there talking about the 49ers. And Kirk goes, okay, when you think of the NFC, who's the best team? Don't look at records. Look at the roster. What's the best team in the NFC? I bet you will say the San Francisco 49ers. As would I. I think I agree. For whatever reason, their record, it sucked so far, right? There's still lots of time to turn it around. We're 6 weeks in at this point. There's plenty of time for them to turn it around. I say that while also saying that the sky is falling for the Seattle Seahawks, and I don't know what to do because I was feeling really, really good. Seahawks were 3-0. I posted on X, formerly known as Twitter, @Shiloh Jocelyn. Seahawks are about to go 4-0, baby, when the Lions came around. And then, holy shit, was I wrong. 42-29, the Lions just absolutely decimated Seattle Seahawks. I did not see that coming. I knew the Lions were good. I didn't know they were that good. I knew the Lions were good. Were the Seahawks just that bad? Because then you go back and look at it. Week 1. Bo Nix. Shout out Bo Nix. Love you, Bo. But Bo Nix's first ever start in the NFL with the Denver Broncos. Seattle pulls out a squeaker. 26-20. Next week, at Patriots. I don't think anybody expected the Patriots to win that game. I think you ask people in New England who's going to win that game and say, oh, Seattle's going to kick the ever-loving shit out of us. Seattle barely wins 23-20. Week 3, Tua and the Dolphins. Oh, wait, no Tua. Seahawks rolled, right? 24-3. Oh, okay. Feeling good. Feeling good. I don't use logic the first 3 weeks of the NFL season because all I see, baby, your Seattle Seahawks 3 and motherfucking 0. But then the Lions happen. And then the Giants come to town. And they block a field goal and run it back and embarrass the Seahawks in our own nest. And then the 49ers come in and kick the ever-loving shit out of us. And now here we are, 3-3. Panic is setting in. What? Go to Atlanta next week. Get a long week, right? 10-20. It's currently the 11th of October. But everybody knows that the Atlanta Falcons have the best game day experience in the entire NFL because they have great concession prices. How do you beat that? You can't. You can't. There is no beating the Atlanta Falcons. I'm sorry. I mean, 2 people have beat them so far, but that's beside the point. Okay? Okay, so the Steelers beat them at home and the Chiefs have beat them at home. Okay, so there is hope. God, the Steelers beat... I think that's the game where the Steelers didn't score a touchdown and beat him. Okay, so there's hope. We're going to be 3-4. Okay, we're going to call that right now. We're going to be 3-4. But then we go to Buffalo. I'm not entirely sure if Josh Allen still has a head, but if he does and he's playing, that's tough, man. That's a tough ask for the Seahawks to go into Buffalo and beat Josh Allen and the Bills. I don't know. Then you go to the Rams. The Rams, I mean, were they 1-4? I don't know. I still... I'm traumatized by the years that the Seahawks could just never beat the Rams. So I'm pretty sure the Rams win that game because that's just how life goes as a Seattle Seahawks fan. Death, taxes, St. Louis/LA Rams beat you every year. That's just how it goes. And my 9-year-old fucking son loves the Rams. The first football game he remembers watching was when the Rams won the Super Bowl. And so since then, he's really, really liked the Rams. That's all I hear. All I hear during game week against the Rams. Hey, Dad, did you know that the Seahawks are playing the Rams this week? Because they are. And guess who the Seahawks always lose to? Yeah, that's right, Dad. The fucking Rams. Have fun with that. Dude, he's merciless. So I'm just going to assume that's a loss. Even ESPN has the matchup predictor 49.1% to 50.5% Seahawks. They barely have the Seahawks winning. What is happening here? Cooper Kupp, questionable. Matt Stafford, questionable. If those hold up, I do not want injuries. I want everybody to be healthy. If we beat the Rams, I want it to be a healthy Rams team so I can rub it in my son's face. But I do want the win. It'd be super helpful if we can have our defense back. I think that's a big difference between the first 3 weeks when the Seahawks were 3-0 and the last 3 when we're 0-3. You've got Darius Robinson out, injured reserve, calf. Defensive tackle, Nichols, out. Wait, no, sorry. I'm totally reading the wrong thing. I saw defensive player and just knew. Hold on. I'm going to be a good journalist here and look at the correct team. I say, I didn't recognize that player. Like, I'm pissed off that he's out. Sucks that he's injured. I didn't know who that was, and I felt bad. All right. Artie Burns, questionable. Trey Brown, questionable. Nuosu, injured reserve. Thigh, dealing with, quote, pretty intense quad strain, according to Seahawks general manager John Snyder. Okay, that sucks. Then we've got Woolen out. Well, that's for this week. So we'll see. But we had Woolen out, Murphy out, Gibson out, Miles Adams out, safety Reed out, linebacker out. Like, our defense is gone. We get to play NFL games with half of our defense. That's gonna go really, really great. I think we're gonna do really well with half our defense. All right, we're gonna move off of that because we got more depressing stuff to talk about, and that would be the fact that your Seattle Kraken are on track to go 0-82 this year. Okay, I'm gonna drop the pessimism right here, right now. Okay, it's done. The Kraken 0-1. After a hot start, Vince Dunn scores a goal. Ellie Tolvanen scores a goal. Shout out to new captain of your Seattle Kraken, the second captain. I'm just going to say first captain in Kraken history. I really liked Mark Giordano, but he was only captain for a few months before he got shipped off at the trade deadline. And everybody knew that he was going to go at the trade deadline. Everybody knew that Giordano was not here for the long term. So why they made him the first captain, I don't know. I think that was a bad call. I think not having a captain for 4 years was the right move. And I think it's awesome that they gave it to Eberle. I felt like maybe they were waiting to see if Matty Beniers was going to take up that mantle and like make the Kraken give him the captaincy. But that didn't quite happen. He won Rookie of the Year, which is awesome. Last year had a bit of a slump. Not a great year last year. Hoping this year he comes back. And he looked pretty good. He looked pretty good in game one. And I absolutely love Shane Wright. I don't know why. I have an unhealthy love and obsession with Shane Wright. I was really stoked to see him in the lineup for game one. I think he's going to be an NHL player moving forward. On the Kraken's second goal, he won the faceoff. We got a D-to-D pass for a goal. He doesn't get an assist on there, but without him winning that faceoff, the Kraken don't get that second goal. So they were up 2-0. And then they allowed 3 straight. Not the best. Not the best look. We're not going to go too in depth. It was game one. I'm actually not. I'm not really Sky's Falling guy. You'll see me on social media. I play a pessimist on TV, but I'm really not. I'm definitely a realist. And, when stuff goes wrong, we'll talk about it. When stuff goes right, we'll talk about it. But in my heart of hearts, I'm an optimist forever. But I feel like playing a pessimist on TV it's just funny. It's funny for me. One thing I do want to talk about before ending the show today, the Kraken signed Joey Decord, who kind of came in as a backup, but then really shined. Grubauer got injured. Decord kind of took over the crease. And then I thought never really gave it back. It was Joey Decord's crease for the rest of the season. The Seattle Kraken rewarded him with a 5-year, $5 million annual average contract. Congratulations, Joey Decord, who you might remember from last year's Winter Classic, just absolutely being a god among men in the crease, stole that game. He was incredible. I thought he was the guy moving forward. And I was actually a little bit surprised to see Grubauer in net for game one. I don't think they're doing like a starting backup kind of tandem. I think they're going to go more like Boston did, where it's kind of like 1A, 1B. But I was a little bit surprised to see Grubauer in net for that first game. And it got me thinking a little bit, how is this going to go? Because the Kraken are now spending, I want to say it was the third most amount of money on their goalies in the league. I'm not really going to count the Montreal Canadiens because they're spending like 11.5, 10.5 on Carey Price that hasn't played in a couple of years, and they're number one by a lot. But the Kraken, between Joey Decord and Grubauer, they're paying $11 million a year on their goalie tandem, which is a lot of money in hockey. Like in basketball, that's the last person on your bench, baby. But in the NHL, that's a lot of money. That is a lot of money. And you're paying Grubauer just under $6 million a year. And now you're doubling Decord's salary, going from 2.5 to 5, which is awesome. Awesome. Get your bag, boys. Especially in hockey. If you can get a contract for $5 million a year, do it. Do it. But the Kraken still have a lot of question marks. And I wonder what their plan is, because they just gave Matty Beniers a whole lot of money. There's no arguing that they should have done that or not. They absolutely should. They did. They made the right call. Lock up Beniers because he could be your franchise guy moving forward. But now you got Grubauer making $6 million until the end of the 26-27 season. And you got Decord making $5 million. Is the salary cap going to go up? Because they spent a good amount of money on Montour. They gave Adam Larson a raise, which, doing some reading, Adam Larson was making, I want to say it was $4 million a year. I see. Do I still have this up here? So Adam Larson was making $4 million a year, right? And a lot of Kraken fans thought that was a bad contract. You go on Reddit, you go on social media, you see a lot of people complaining about Adam Larson making so much damn money. And then the Kraken this year, actually a month ago today, signed a 4-year, $21 million contract, which is an annual average of 5.25. So he's actually making more than Joey Decord here after a contract that fans really didn't like. And what the fans think about the contract, that it doesn't matter. But what catches my eye is right now, if you don't count Montreal and Carey Price's contract, they're tied for third place right now with the New York Islanders, spending $11 million a year on goaltending. And we don't have a Sorokin and Varlamov combo. We don't have an Ullmark Swayman combo. We'll see. we'll see. I mean, DeCord's breakout year, you know, it was last year. We'll see how he does. The fact that he didn't start game one, I don't know. Am I reading too much into that? Probably. But when I see that we're spending the third most in the NHL in our goaltending tandem, and I look at the other tandems that we're up there with, I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I love our team. I love both our goalies. I think we need more offense. I think that's, and you can't let DeCord go. So what do? You have to sign him, right? So I don't know. I'm looking forward to seeing how this team, as it's built right now, does, because last year was such a letdown. I feel like the Kraken had such a high shooting percentage that we just assumed that, gosh, we have a high powered offense here. And then it just kind of plummeted. So now we got Dan Bylsma, who, as my team growing up was the Pittsburgh Penguins. Bylsma won a cup with the Penguins, so I was really, really excited to see when he got the job as the head coach of the Coachella Valley Firebirds. Really excited to see that. And then when they brought him up to the big team this offseason, I was really excited. I kind of felt like he got the short end of the stick a little bit in Pittsburgh, but such is life as a Kraken, an NHL head coach. And then, you know, we'll see how it goes from there, because what's really interesting about this whole thing is we got Jessica Campbell, who's the first ever full-time NHL assistant coach, who just looked like an absolute fucking boss on the bench, by the way. The Kraken lost, but you saw her at the end of the game drawing up plays and really taking charge of that offense. And it looked awesome. It looked awesome. It's like, if Bylsma sucks, is she going to take over the reins? That could be interesting. But there's a lot of question marks from the Kraken. And I feel like they looked like a really good team to start probably the first half of the game against St. Louis in game one. But then they just fell apart. They fell apart. They allowed the 3 goals in the second, and then they were flat and just didn't really show up for the third period, which we'll see. We'll see how it goes tonight. They play the Kraken, or sorry, they didn't play the Kraken. It's tomorrow. They play the Wild at 5:00. Which I still haven't quite figured out how I'm going to watch Kraken games now that they're not on Root Sports. A lot of people were really excited about the Kraken and the Blazers both dropping Root. I was also excited about that because that meant more people got to watch all these games. But then I realized, with what I have, I don't know how I'm going to watch these games, because I have DirecTV Stream, and all people talk about is like Fubo, YouTube TV, and I can't get an answer whether or not I'm going to be able to watch these games on my local channels, because I don't have like a channel 8.2 or channel 2.2. So we'll see how that goes. All right, before I wrap this up, quick shout out, one more shout out. Happy 30th birthday to the band Korn. That's all. I don't really have much more to say about Korn other than happy 30th birthday. The fact that a new metal band is still going 30 years later. Limp Bizkit was just in Portland. Apparently their new frontman Santa Claus still has pipes. It's great. Seeing Limp Bizkit play in 2024 was definitely different than seeing them play in 1998, but God bless them. Still love them. Happy birthday, Korn. All right, back to the writer's room for me. I'll be sure to report back everything I read on the next episode. Until next time, I am Shiloh Jocelyn, and I read the script.
From the entire Channel 4 News team, I'm Veronica Corningstone.
And I'm Ron Burgundy. Go fuck yourself.
Miami.
What in the name? No! Nice work, everyone. Sharp broadcast. Really good. Everyone on the floor as well. Really a lot of hustle out of